Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is our NXT review. And I gotta say, this was a really fun episode of NXT. They are very much self-aware that NXT TakeOver New Orleans is the Saturday after this upcoming Saturday. So we still got one more week of NXT. That'll be the go-home show. But then that Saturday will be NXT TakeOver New Orleans. And they are perfectly aware of it because they had their best foot forward. The North American Championship seemed to be a really big focus on this episode. And I mean that in the best possible way. I thought it was built to, very nicely. Got some shine on some guys, which was wonderful. Excellent build in the NXT World title picture. They had a great segment tonight that I can't wait to talk about. And yeah, just to kind of foreshadow our first segment, I'd say there were only really two things that bothered me about this show tonight. But Ashton, what do you think of NXT tonight?
Dude, this show was really stacked. I enjoyed everything in this show. There was one segment that we were supposed to get that we didn't get that disappointed me, but what we got instead was still pretty goddamn cool. And everything else on the show, I was just happy about. I thought that the pacing of the show was great. I thought that the atmosphere that was kind of created by the show, it had like that big, like getting ready for the big fight kind of thing, kind of feel. I just really enjoyed this episode. So let's get into it.
All right, let's get right into it with our first segment, high spots and low shots. And I'm already going to say that, or not high spots, low shots, excuse me, heat of the night. Yeah, I'm jumping the gun here. Heat of the night. And I will say that I do have a heat of the night and a nitpick, but, I always like you to go first. So do you have anything?
I don't got shit. I want to know what yours is.
All right, well, I'll start from the nitpick and then work up. The nitpick is the Dakota Kai thing, which I think you were alluding to when you were giving the rundown. Yeah. It's not so much that they did it, it's who they did it with. Like, I wouldn't have really had a problem with it if it was like Lacey Evans or Vanessa Bourne.
Or Aaliyah.
Or an Aaliyah. And it's not even just because, like, I like Dakota Kai or she's growing on me. It's the last thing she did was kick the head off of Shayna Baszler, who's being booked like the baddest woman in the women's division. So, and I've been telling you that given that Shayna broke her arm and then Dakota kicks her in the head and helps Ember get the total eclipse, like that I believe Dakota is going to be one of the first title feuds that, Shayna has, if she becomes the next Women's Champion to take over New Orleans, which we won't say anything definitively until our preview predictions next week, but you can see where my mind's going. So knowing that she's got this narrative stuff behind her, you'd think that you'd want to see her in in-ring competition so that you can endear her to more people. Again, why I use like a Vanessa Bourne as an example, she's been off the radar. Nobody would care. She's got nothing going on. But Dakota Kai is actually doing stuff, and I don't like that she got shortchanged at the expense of the world title angle. And I'll be honest, too, at the risk of being cheeky, it's funny that we talk about a women's revolution, and yet, oh, wait, we have to cut away from the women's stuff because what's happening? The two men are brawling, in the parking lot. So, I don't know. To me, it's just not a good look all around. The only reason it's not a heat of the night was because they never explicitly promised me a Dakota Kai match, but it was heavily teased, and it just kind of irked me a little bit.
Well, and you know what, though? I think at the same time, if it would have been a dude, like suppose just randomly pick a name, say, oh God, I'm so bad at picking random names. Name someone in NXT that wasn't on tonight's show that isn't in a tag team that's a dude.
That isn't a tag team that's a dude. Oh, Jesus.
I know, right? It's fucking hard.
Oh, wait, fuck. He's on the tip of my tongue.
Oni Lorcan. Let's say Oni Lorcan.
Oni Lorcan. Well, yeah, but he's in that tag team with Danny Burch, though, and you said no.
I know, but still, he does singles stuff, too. So let's say if Oni Lorcan would have come out, we would have been looking forward to his match, but I still think that they would have given it that treatment. I don't think that it has anything to do with the fact that it was a female. I think it's more on the line of the world champion and the challenger to the world title are fighting in the parking lot. I don't care who's in the ring. It could have been Lars Sullivan for all I care. They needed to cut to that. Like that.
Oh no, I need you to understand what I'm saying. Like, I don't disagree with you. I'm just saying, like, it's just a bad look from the same company that jerks themselves off all the time. They're like, oh, we put, women first and this and that. And then, it's just like, I don't think they did it deliberately. I don't think it was like maliciously done. It's just, things that I think they're going to get poked by. I mean, hell, I just did, and I just think it's just something. But really, the bigger thing is Dakota Kai was doing things, and I don't like seeing her get shortchanged for anybody when she actually has narrative weight to her right now. So that was just my nitpick.
Yeah, even then though, I feel like even though I do think that there's a chance that Dakota Kai will end up being the first challenger when Shayna wins the title, whether that's, you know, at New Orleans or some other time, she isn't now. So, you know, if they want to just kind of put her in a spot like this, as long, and here's what I'm really hoping for, and this I think is the main reason why I didn't make this my heat of the night. Whatever match she was supposed to have tonight, I'm hoping we get that either next week or the following week, and they're just like, oh, this was supposed to happen last week, and they pick up on it and they like have that continuity. That'll make me happy.
Yeah, if they do that, I mean, look, I'll say what we used to say, like with certain heats of the night or nitpicks. Like if they do that, you know, I retract it. Simple as that. And that's why, again.
So that's your nitpick, but I want to know what your full-blown heat of the night is, because this has got me intrigued all to hell.
Well, you should know, because I even told you this was coming when we were watching NXT tonight.
Oh, I didn't think that was going to be a heat of the night. I thought you were going to make fun of them.
This annoyed the fucking shit out of me.
Oh, wow,
like, more than anything. I'm just going to tell you guys what I told Ashton on Skype. The Street Profits are officially the world's most inept tag team. Like, easily. It's not even fucking close. Like, you're in there in the Dusty Classic, the semis. I might add, not even some first round bullshit. Like, you're in the semis, but you're in there with the Authors of Pain. Somebody that even Percy Watson, who we always say is like awful. You know, he's even like, you know, he's been in the ring with them before. You know, these two teams have faced off once before. So you'd think you take it fucking seriously. And Angelo, and this is another thing I don't like, because it's kind of like a layered heat of the night here. And so Angelo Dawkins kind of doing his thing, you know, tags him in, and you know, Montez Ford, he starts and he's like shooting his mouth off. He's like, I want this more to you. Then I think it was like Akam was speaking, you know, his language.
It was Razor. It was Razor.
He was speaking his language, and Ford just tags out, you know, whatever. Angelo Dawkins gets the offense. I actually noticed he didn't do any of that stirred it up crap, which I liked.
Yeah.
But then you've got Montez Ford getting so excited that Angelo Dawkins gets a little bit of offense. Like, we're not like in a hot tag moment. You know, it's not been like this grueling thing. Just a little bit of offense. And he's dancing like they won the whole fucking thing. And he does the whole cup shtick with, God, what's his name? I'm blanking over it. AOP. Yeah, Paul Ellering. And, you know, he smacks the cup out of the hand. And then Dawkins gets hit with the last chapter. First of all, this makes the tag team look the fucking worst when they've been puffing their chest out like, oh, it's our year, this and that. Now, this could be, and I will grant them this could be a character point later where either they turn heel or they change something, and I'm open to that. But what I really don't like is you're making Montez Ford, who in my mind is the more talented between the two guys. We've talked about this extensively. You're making him look like the bad one because Angelo Dawkins was doing his shit, and he was the one that ate the pin because of Montez Ford. God, it just really rubbed me the wrong way. I'm like, what are you even doing with this team? Are they meant to be annoying? And if so, like, why aren't they heel?
I think I have 2 points that I want to just put in there.
Sure.
So first of all, from an actual wrestling perspective, Angelo Dawkins is the good one. Montez Ford is not a good wrestler yet. He still has a ton of potential, and I won't deny that. But right now, Angelo Dawkins is way better in the ring than Montez Ford is. He has an amateur wrestling background. He's legit. Like, he's not charismatic at all. He's not entertaining, but he's a damn good wrestler in the ring.
Right.
And second of all, even if you don't want to look at it from that perspective, even if you want to say, oh, well, they're both kind of green. They both still have a long way to go. Neither one of them is all that good. Just from a size perspective, Dawkins matches up better with the Authors of Pain than Montez Ford does. Because Dawkins is like 6'5", 250. He's got the size advantage. And Montez Ford is more like the quickness and the speed. And when his head's not in the game, which we saw, which is another, I think that could be part of a story because he's green, he's new, he's inexperienced, his head wasn't in it tonight. He can get, he's not like focused enough to play the escape game like you would expect from a smaller, quicker guy against the bigger guys like AOP.
I am going to give this time, and I don't want to jump the gun, but I got to be honest, I had such a visceral reaction to this because Dominique Adams in chat articulated my point perfectly. You missed your chance to get an NXT Tag Team Championship match over a fucking cup.
So, but like, I don't think they knew at this point necessarily that the winner of the Dusty Classic would be getting an NXT Tag Title match. I think that they
thought that was made explicitly clear though, because I mean, Kathy Kelly has been saying it over and over again. Like,
oh really? I guess I just haven't caught it.
Well, yeah, I mean, in the updates and stuff, and they talk about like, and I thought even Regal announced it. I thought Regal announced it at the beginning, but like, To me, I had such a visceral reaction to this. I was amazed. And again, I'm going to give it time because that still might happen. And I can't judge something based on, me projecting here. But, like, if I was Angelo Dawkins, I would have beat the fucking shit out of him. Like, I'm amazed the tag team didn't break up right there because are you kidding me? Like, the whole match got thrown away, not even because we necessarily, we did make a mistake, but not even related to, like, in-ring stuff. You just had to play with your fucking cup and do that shtick. Like, during the Dusty Classic, it just, I don't know, really rubbed me the wrong fucking way. I hate this tag team.
Maybe they'll get a stern talking to from Regal, talking about this was the Dusty Classic. What would Dusty think if he saw you acting a fool out there?
I hope so, dude. Like, I hope they mine it for the narrative potential that, like, you're seeing.
And you know what I could even see them doing with that? I could see them
yeah.
really hitting Angelo Dawkins hard and him being like, all right, man, we got to get serious. We got to get our nose to the grindstone. We got to really focus.
Yeah.
And Montez is like, yeah, you're right. And then he just, like, goes back to texting on his phone, or he goes back to hanging out with the girls or drinking or whatever. And Montez doesn't take it seriously because he really didn't come up when Dusty was around, but Angelo did. So they could really have that be the divide where Angelo wants to, like, really respect the legacy of Dusty and the tag team wrestling and that kind of stuff. And Montez, not necessarily out of malice, just out of ignorance, doesn't really have the same level of respect. And they could break up over that. And Montez would obviously be the heel in this situation, which I think you and I both want anyway.
Yeah. I mean, dude, here's the thing. I hope you are right. And I hope, because again, I even said, and I will say again, I am giving this a chance, and I am hoping there is a creative narrative here. But if they come out in a few weeks and it's still the same shtick, and it's like, oh, we're just going to shake it off, whatever. I hate this fucking team. Kill it with fire. Do something fucking else. Like, I have a visceral hatred for the Street Profits at this point that Jim Cornette does for anything modern. Like, I just want it wiped off the face of the fucking earth. I looked at this and I'm like, this is the stupidest fucking shit I've really seen in some time. And I think I've only was so visceral because everything else on the show was so good. Like, that's why we're getting it out now. And you have to admit, I haven't had a heat in the night in a long time.
No, I never expect you to have a heat in the night, like, no matter what show it is, really.
Yeah, like, it has been a long fucking time since I have been pissed. So, I don't know what my number count was. You could set it back to 0 days since heat of the night. But you know what? It was fucking worth it. I hate this fucking team. Choke on a railroad spike, Montez.
Get your though, man, it's refreshing. Together. It is refreshing to have you be angry at something NXT related that I'm not.
God, rubbing the temples did not help, friend. It did not help at all. But let's get into our NXT review where we could talk about good shit. And Ashton, how do we open this show up?
Well, the show opened with Tommaso Ciampa in the parking lot. He arrives and he starts kind of walking and he finds William Regal and he talks about how Gargano's basically been stalking him. He showed up at his house at 3 o'clock in the morning, all that stuff. And Regal says, well, there's not a lot we can do, but I think I have a solution. At NXT TakeOver New Orleans, we're going to have a match. And because Gargano is still not technically employed here, it's going to have to be an unsanctioned match. And if he does win, I'm going to have to reinstate him. But if you do beat him, he's going to be banished for life from NXT. And Ciampa talks about, wait a minute, you're seriously going to let me do this? Like, this is going to be unsanctioned. I can do whatever I want. And Regal's just like, yeah, if you win, he's banished for life. And then Regal says, and I quote, only this time you're going to have to do it yourself. Ah, DIY, baby!
Yeah, I mean, this, and now I'm going to be positive the rest of the review, this was great. I don't know if you watched the YouTube video of the whole house at 3 a.m. thing, but I did. Like, that wasn't Tommaso being hyperbolic. They actually did a little skit like that. It was great.
Yeah, I saw. I mean, I didn't actually watch the skit, but I saw that it was a thing. I saw, like,
Yeah, I love the build to this. You know what? I said something very hateful about the Street Profits. Now I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I haven't been this excited about a build to a match in a long time. Like, I feel the hatred. I feel the personal element. Tommaso is fucking great as a heel. Johnny, what I love about Johnny, I gotta tell you, as a babyface, it's refreshing that a babyface isn't constrained. Like, it actually blew up my pet peeve of, curse these ring ropes. It's a shame I can't go through them. And, like, he's going everywhere. He waited for him in the parking lot. He stalked him down in his home. And, like, I could be a Johnny's coming and be like, oh, you know, Johnny should be in jail, kind of thing. But I'm enjoying it way too much. I like that a babyface has enough fire that he's like, wait a minute. my hatred doesn't stop for you during working hours. I hate you forever. And they're really doing it. They're really committing, which honestly, and this is the biggest compliment I could give, if this feud was taking place, before an era where like the internet and we get all the dirt sheets and what are Tommaso and Johnny doing in the next takeover? People would be eating this shit up, and they're still eating it up now, which I think is a testament to the quality of the work, that people could just get into it in spite of all that. Like, there's a real believability to me when you've got Johnny, and you could even hear him on the video. I know you're in there, Tommaso. I just talking, and you got Tommaso who plays his character so perfectly because he's not even like angry or worried. He's just annoyed. He's like, it's my house at 3 a.m. I could go to the cops, but I know it's not going to work. And it's so good because Tommaso isn't this caricature. He really has like this very chilling vibe about him with how he portrays, the Sicilian psychopath character. And Johnny, that's his former best friend that screwed him out of his dream job. So like, it's totally relatable that again, he's like, well, I got no timestamp on when my hatred ends for you, so I'm going to stalk you everywhere. And it just freaking works. And an unsanctioned match is perfect for this rivalry. And I got to be honest, given how both guys have been booked, this is a match that to me, this is going to be the hardest match to predict on our card. I'm telling you right now, because I already have a certain vibe how most of the matches are going to go. This one is going to be where I toss and turn the most because I could easily see either of their motivations being fulfilled. Tommaso getting Johnny out for good, or Johnny getting his job back because of how like even keel the booking's been and not in that like in-ring 50-50 type crap. I really, really love this feud, and I can't say enough good things about it. Great stuff.
Yeah. This was great. And then we don't even finish with William Regal because the first segment in Full Sail also involves him. He ends up in the ring with this big kind of groundbreaking announcement that he talked about last week that he told us about. The old announcing an announcement shtick that he probably got from Vince. But at NXT TakeOver New Orleans, we're going to be introducing the NXT North American Championship. And then Regal talks about all the UK names that were kind of made in the UK division and says that the North American champion will carry that title with just as much pride as they did. And then a new music hits that starts out with the soundbite, I am in the top 1%. And it's EC3. And that's his actual name. He's going by EC3. I don't think they're going to use Ethan Carter III. It's just going to be EC3. He has pretty much the same entrance style that he had in TNA, where he faces away from the camera and then just looks to the side. And his theme song is awful.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know where you were going to go with the theme. I don't know. I'll be curious for the full release because I actually kind of dug it, but I would need to hear a full version to make a verdict. That's how I am with most themes.
It's just so inferior to Trouble, 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 Trouble. And I thought that theme was a little bit overrated. But this theme, the lyrics are literally, I'm in the top 1%. Like, it sounds like something that a middle schooler wrote, honestly.
Damn. I love this dragging streak you've been on lately, just savage.
Well, the irony is, here's the thing. Maybe it's because my standards are at such a high level because Matt Hardy's Woken theme was released on YouTube today, and I literally looped it for like 3 hours.
Oh, damn. So you're like, I had an eargasm and now I'm hearing this fucking crap.
Yeah.
No, man, I feel it. I feel it, man. You live that life. No, I have to make a judgment when the full theme gets released, but I love what a douche-tard this man is. Like, apparently that hasn't changed.
He's like the worst friend in the group who thinks he's hilarious and nobody laughs at him unless they want something from him.
Yeah. Oh man. So he comes out. I gotta be honest, and that was the reason why I was a little late, like getting on with you to watch NXT, because I made dinner late, so I missed the first little bit of this promo. But I know he thanked Regal, for having the greatest acquisition. EC3, and the crowd was really hyped to see him. They chanted NX3, and he seemed to dig it. And it's like 1%, all that stuff. And I love the one where I was like, and I didn't think you could really take your logical decisions any further. But then you create the North American Championship to award to me on my first day of work, and the crowd actually popped for it. Like,
dude, that's what I was even saying in the Discord. I know you weren't in there, but I was literally saying in the Discord, EC3 is the new Bobby Roode. Like, he's supposed to be the heel. His gimmick is that he's literally a 1%er, and the crowd's eating it up to the point that they were literally chanting 1%, 1%.
Yeah, dude, I honestly really didn't know what to make of it. And I think you articulated it quite nicely, because I'm just looking at the crowd eating this up, and it's like, wait, why would you want somebody to be handed a champ? No. And then Regal's just like, well, that's not how it works here. And then, of course, he announces the ladder match, and EC3 is one of the first competitors, and they chant, thank you, Regal. And then EC3 is like, thank you, Regal. Thank you, Regal. But, you know, in this ladder match, I mean, you could stack the whole locker room against me. And NXT TakeOver New Orleans, I am going to show that I am in the top 1% of this industry. So solid promo from him. You know, it's funny. We were kind of talking about him a few nights ago over around a Rocket League. And I know we said, like, the charisma hasn't always been there, but I thought he did a decent job here on the mic. We'll see how he does. I mean, it's
actually really funny that we were just talking about that, because in the Discord, I think it was Cliff said, he's like a more charismatic, because when I said, oh, he's literally just the new version of Bobby Roode, Cliff said, yeah, only he's more charismatic. And I'm just thinking, like, is he really that much? Like, I've seen an awful lot of EC3 and Derek Bateman, and I'm not really sure he's that charismatic. He comes off as really wooden and like, or like, I think I called him superficial in the Discord. Not superficial.
Yeah.
Was it superficial? I'm going to go back in the Discord and look.
Well, while you're doing that, I would just like to make a point that, you know, for me, I could either take or leave EC3, but I know in, like, the broader wrestling community, he seems to be a bit more divisive. Like, I know, for example, when you and I know we only listen to, like, his Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. reviews and stuff, but when we look at Fool Killer, and I know, like, he reviewed TNA a lot, so obviously he got to see a lot of EC3. He seemed to really like the dude. Like, I think one of his favorite things that he did was his campaign to be world champion, because he did, like, election-style ads, and he thought those came off really well. And then I feel like other people would be more inclined to agree with us and say, oh, well, you know, EC3 isn't that great. So I feel like he might be more of a divisive figure. And as far as the NXT run goes, because I think he has a clean slate with me, you know, it's a new company, a new day. It's a new day. Yes, it is. I'm waiting to see where it goes. I didn't think it was a bad first promo. I will say I enjoy him more than Roode, but maybe that's just because with Roode I've become so jaded, so that's entirely possible. You already know. Now, this isn't getting into prediction territory because, again, you guys have to wait next week for that. Ashton, you already know out of the competitors that were announced, and I feel like Regal did announce all the competitors, so we're good. You know who I want to win this, and we'll get to that a little bit later. We'll
get to that next Thursday when we do our NXT TakeOver New Orleans preview and predictions.
Exactly.
Oh God, I can't wait for our preview predictions on Thursday and Friday next week. It's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be insane. But do I think that EC3 could, you know, be regarded? It should be regarded as like a favorite in that match, so to speak. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Yeah, they made such a big deal out of it because he got an entrance and he got a talking segment.
You know, the funny thing is, I think that and we'll get to the actual like entire field later. I think the person who's least likely to win is Adam Cole, and I base that exclusively on the fact that I think he's getting called up 2 days later.
Which would be the right thing to do, because how dare you deprive the main roster of that excellence?
Well, and I think Vince agrees with you. I think Vince has like a man crush on Adam Cole.
Don't we all, though?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, he still hasn't responded to my texts, but honestly, where I would normally feel spurned, I know that he can do better. So,
holy shit! You just said that someone could do better than you.
I know, right? Holy shit! And it stems from a place other than my inferiority complex. But anyway,
no, it stems from a superiority complex that you project onto somebody else.
But what did we get after this?
Oh, we're moving on already? Okay.
Oh yeah, well, unless you had things you want to say about EC3, because I mean, Regal didn't make any more.
No, I feel like I've done enough dragging for this segment, so let's move on. Up next, we got a TM61 interview, and really, it's funny because they acknowledge that they can't seem to get over the AOP hurdle and that they need to change their mindset, but then they resort back to the exact same line that they've been saying since they got here, and that is that they are the mighty and the mighty don't kneel. But then the cameraman, and here I think this is a good example of the exact opposite of what happened with Dakota Kai earlier, because the cameraman was like, oh, hey, there are people fighting. And then the cameraman was like, oh, screw off TM61. There's something more interesting going on. The champion and the challenger are about to have a freaking brawl. And then they do, except this time, instead of, shunning a woman for a couple guys, they shunned 2 dudes for women. Backwards. I like it.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. And what I did like about how this segment was shot was you could see the stuff with the women going on in the background. Because, I noticed that, and it seemed like there was some very intense body language. So, to be honest, there was a point where I really wasn't paying attention to TM61. And I do genuinely like them. That's not to slight them in any way. It's just I'm seeing these 2 women talking, and I could tell that one of them was Shayna. So I'm like, oh, shit, what's this? What's going on? And, I'd really start paying more attention to that. So when the camera goes to that, and Ember and Shayna are brawling, which I'll be honest, I still hope, I doubt it's going to happen because next week's the go-home show. I really wanted their rematch to kind of have a stipulation to it. But yeah, I mean, it was a good brawl. Ember and Shayna just kind of fighting on the floor of the performance center, the gym. And yeah, it's pretty crazy. And as far as TM61, the idea that they're talking about AOP, you got to wonder if before AOP gets officially called up, if TM61 will get a win over them, just to really give them that momentum. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you would think eventually, but I don't even know for sure, just because TM61 are great, but I think AOP might get called up before they get a chance to beat them.
Yeah, that's a fair point. So again, liked what TM61 said, but my mind was more on, the very volatile body language and then the brawl, between Shayna and Ember, which I feel like was well done. Again, I wish their match had a stip, but it's probably not going to happen. But I think the build has actually been quite nice, and Shayna, again, continues to be this really great heel that I think is making Ember look better as a babyface because she has a legitimate obstacle. So nothing more I can say than that.
All right. Well, all right, man, let's move on. Up next, we got Andrade and Zelina arriving at Full Sail. And then I think we went to a commercial. When we got back, though, we went into our first match, which was Street Profits versus Authors of Pain.
I already ranted about this enough. This was cancer. I fucking hated it. And yeah, nothing more I can say than that. Authors of Pain win.
Yeah, the Authors of Pain won due almost entirely, well, not almost, due entirely to the Street Profits' ineptitude.
Yes, thank you.
Then we get our Kathy Kelly interview, the first of the 3 that we got in the night, which I'm not going to complain because I fucking love Kathy Kelly. She's awesome. And it's with William Regal, and they're all with William Regal, and Regal just finalized Adam Cole, baby, as the second competitor in the North American title match. And then Velveteen Dream shows up, and he basically pitches the idea of him being in the North American title match as well. And Regal agrees with him and makes him the 3rd competitor. So, and of course, then, Dream can't let somebody else get the last word. So he says, you may have broke ground by introducing the North American Championship. By putting the Velveteen Dream in this match, you just set the stage.
Yes, I love this man so much. This is great, dude. He absolutely deserves to be in this ladder match. I love that he's got entry into it. I honestly feel like he's going to be one of those guys that during that ladder match, because I remember Eddie's advice about a ladder match, you got to go balls out. You really can't structure it like you would any other match. It's hard to really kind of implement any kind of psychology in a ladder match, especially when you've got a multitude of people in there instead of just a one-on-one. But I really feel like Velveteen Dream is going to be one of the show stealers of that match. Abso-freaking-lutely. With his charisma and everything else, he's going to find a way to work, I think, some brilliant character stuff into that ladder match. And I honestly can't wait to see what he does. It's going to be amazing, dude. I'm really stoked.
Yay!
That's all there is to it. Yep, my sentiments exactly.
All right, let's go then. Up next, we got another yay segment because it was a Lars Sullivan match.
And I could even hear you when we were on Skype, squeeing over a lot of these segments, including this one. So I'm going to let you have the reins on this one. What did you think about Lars Sullivan's return?
I love Lars Sullivan, and I might not have even realized how much I love him until now.
Nice, dude. That's awesome.
He looks like a mutant, and his gimmick is basically the Beast from the X-Men. That's literally what he is. He is this big, scary, beastly son of a bitch. And his entire shtick too is that like he's got the intellect as well. Like he said about how he's got the body of a gorilla and the mind of a professor. Well, if that doesn't describe Beast from the X-Men, I don't know what does.
Yeah, he's got that on lock, and I love it too because it goes directly against the cliche that when you look like Lars Sullivan does, you can't have anything between the ears. Yes. But he does, and I love that.
Although I gotta just say, just a little bitty nitpick. I wish he would use smart words other than just unequivocally. And what was the other one that he uses all the time? Categorically. Like those are his two favorite words, but it's entirely possible for a dumb person to just pick two smart sounding words and learn what they mean and use them a lot. So please mix up your vocab if your gimmick is that you're smart.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like he does use more words on Twitter, so it'd be nice if he brought that to the mic. Because in defense of him, I do think on Twitter, like he does like other stuff. I think one time he called himself parsimonious or something on a tweet. I don't even know. So like if he just brought that to the microphone, he'd be fucking ace.
Parsimonious. I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, I'm the word guy, and let me look that up real quick to see if it even makes sense. Because I may be thinking of like a totally different word, but I thought I saw like a tweet one time where he's like
unwilling to spend money or use resources, basically stingy or frugal.
Yeah, maybe it was pugilistic, because I know that means like likes to fight and stuff like that. I know it was something with the letter P, but which would be different than unequivocal and categorical.
Right. That's the only thing that I really care about too, is that it's just obviously it has to make sense, but just use other different smart sounding words, because when you use the same two words over and over again, it makes you sound like a fake smart.
Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, I do like the vibe of the gimmick and what they're going for. I really do. I think it's time that we've kind of had a character like this. Because even Braun, like as good as he is, they never emphasize like his intellect or anything like that. Like he's a fun dude. He's a dude that clearly like can do things that more like bumbling people can't do. But they never really emphasize the intellect like they're trying to do with Lars, which I appreciate. He's like a bulked out Damian Sandow, which is pretty cool. Really thought this match was excessive in a great way. Like he probably could have won this 5 different times. He was like, nope, they're gonna see my whole move set. Ends it with the freak accident, which has really grown on me. I mean, between the name and just the impact and everything else, I think Lars has got great packaging. He's right where he needs to be in developmental. Hopefully he continues to incorporate, new ways like, okay, if I'm this thinking guy, what can I do? Because I would like to see, and I've been asking this ever since, characters like Edge and when Triple H, I mean, I know he still competes occasionally. Hell, he's competing at this year's WrestleMania, full Cerebral Assassin. I would like to see him use that brain more. Like we see so much of the gorilla. I want to see more of the professor. So he's facing, not to jump the gun, but in a later segment, we learn he is facing Killian Dane next week. I would like to see, given that Killian Dane can match him for power, that, well, he can't match me for brains. You know what I mean? So he uses his intellect to beat Killian Dane somehow. That would just be something I would really like to see. Whether we will or not, I don't know. But I do know that I, too, am a fan of Lars Sullivan, and it's great to have him back because when he went off the grid, I was really afraid that he had gotten released or some shit. So glad to see you still.
I do have one thing that I do want to say that's not necessarily a positive, and that is please don't use the flying headbutt Lars.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me too.
Like if you're gonna use something off the top rope, just do like a Polish hammer, or like if you can, like a missile drop kick would be cool. Just don't do the headbutt. That's I feel like a lighter guy maybe could get away with it, but when you're that big and you have that much mass coming down, that is just a great way to give yourself concussions out the ass.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know with a guy his size why you just don't recourse to the splash, because I feel like it's a very rudimentary maneuver that a lot of big guys use.
Seriously, the splash is the same thing as the headbutt. Like, it's not like when someone does a flying headbutt, it's not like they're actually connecting with their head. It's still the same motion. They're jumping and landing flat on the mat, and concussions are caused by the brain coming to a sudden stop in the skull and hitting the wall of the skull. That shit's happening whether it's a splash or a headbutt. They're the same motion. That's why I maybe like a Polish hammer, where you can like absorb the blow, or like a drop kick where your momentum shifts in midair or something like that. But the whole, jumping from a high place and then stopping dead on the ring is a great recipe for giving yourself concussions.
I mean, hell, depending on his athleticism, maybe even a leg drop, I think would be a pretty cool visual guy.
Yeah, a leg drop would be cool because you kind of embrace the blow a little bit there too. That's a little bit easier on the brain. So yeah, that's a hell of a lot harder on like the spine and the tailbone, but if you can tolerate it, that's better than fucking up your brain for life.
Yeah. So, maybe just don't even go to the top rope altogether.
I mean, he doesn't need to, but I think it still adds to the gimmick that he does.
Absolutely. So
just do like a Vader bomb. Like that would be cool.
Yeah, but isn't that still though kind of the same thing because that is like a splash motion?
It's from the middle rope.
Right.
So like lower, and plus you're landing on your knees first,
Right.
So maybe, I don't know. It just seems like it has less of an impact, which...
I mean, again, he could have won this match 5 times. Like, he manhandled the dude. I really, after the headbutt, I'm like, so you're done now, right? And then he's just like, nope. And then freak accident, he gets the win. And, that's all we could say about it. Lars dominates, and I know this isn't the last we hear of him, but as far as this match goes, I mean, that about wraps it up.
Oh, and by the way, there were 2 Mauro Ranallo lines on commentary tonight during this match that I died for.
Which were?
Well, the first one is my new favorite Lars Sullivan nickname, which is the Colorado Colossus.
Nice.
And the second one, which just had me dying of, was going against Lars Sullivan is like undergoing a root canal without the Novocaine.
Nice.
I freaking love Mauro so much. He makes everything better.
He really does. What a beautiful man.
Oh, yep. So then we get to Kathy Kelly again with William Regal, and Lars Sullivan shows up. And Regal invites him to be in the ladder match, and he smiles and he's happy about it. And that was when he did the unequivocally and categorically, I will bring the destruction that only Lars Sullivan can bring. Only instead of just doing it with my bare hands, now I get to use a ladder. And he wants Killian Dane. He wants to fight Killian Dane before TakeOver New Orleans. And Regal says, well, Killian Dane is the 5th member of the ladder match, but I think that you and I are on the same page here because you are going to face him one-on-one next week as well.
Yeah, so everybody gets what they want, and that sounds pretty freaking great to me. Again, I think that has potential to be a really fun match, and I would like to see the more cerebral aspect of Sullivan, coming to the forefront to beat Killian Dane, who I think matches him in the whole power game and everything. So we'll see what happens.
God, imagine if Lars did a shooting star press.
Jesus Christ. Buddy Murphy would be like, can I have anything? No.
Who would say that?
Buddy Murphy, because we know he could do a 6 shooting star press.
I mean, yeah, but like Buddy Murphy can also do other crazier shit than just a shooting star. Like that's that's like an 8 out of 10 in his arsenal. It's a 10 out of 10 in Lars's. Yeah,
that's very true.
Oh, man. All right. So up next, we got the Dakota Kai entrance. And then we cut to the parking lot. Andrade attacking Aleister Black, even to the extent that he dunked his head in a cooler filled with water. Like that's some movie torture level shit right there. And he just keeps beating him up and brings him into the arena and continues the beatdown all the way into the ring. It just ravages him. And when I guess he feels content with his work, he just shouts, "Respeto! Respeto!" meaning respect in Spanish at Aleister. So he's demanding that Aleister respect him. And Percy Watson, of course, points out, you got to give respect to get respect, Aleister, or Almas. So it was just, it was the segment was good as far as getting heat for Almas, but would I have preferred this to a Dakota Kai match? Nah.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm torn because I love Andrade. And seeing him this aggressive and this legitimate against somebody like Aleister, who I feel like this is a match.
If anything, I feel like it shows fear. Like it's like he's afraid of Aleister to the point that he feels like he needs this extra advantage in order to beat him on TakeOver.
Oh, no, I mean, I agree with you. I'm just saying more in the sense of he can get a leg up on Aleister like this. Right. I feel like a lot of people thought, like, oh, it's going to be impossible. Like, it's a foregone conclusion. Aleister's going to win and take over New Orleans. Now, again, we haven't formally predicted one way or the other. That's next Thursday. But just knowing that Andrade could destroy Alistair like this. I mean, at first I thought, doesn't this humanize Alistair a little bit? But like, if you're going for the NXT championship, I don't care who the opposition is, the champion should never really be made to look like a joke. Otherwise, why are they the champion to begin with? And we know Alistair can beat Andrade. He's done it before. Granted, I've always put the caveat he hasn't beaten the new Andrade, who also laid down this beatdown. It's worth noting. But, I thought it was executed very well. I'll be curious what Alistair's retort is on the go-home show, because I have to imagine there will be one. And like you, would I have preferred this to a Dakota Kai match? No, and really, I don't know why we couldn't have had both. I mean, honestly, we could have just got out the AOP Street Profits match. It was going to be that freaking short and lame. And just do it then as like its own separate thing. But, the chips fell where they did, and Andrade stands tall. I thought it was a solid segment. Can't say any more than that. We can move on.
All right, man. Well, since we're moving on, let's talk about our final match of the night, the main event of the evening: Sanity versus the team of Roderick Strong and Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight Pete Dunne. I actually don't really have many notes on this, so if you want to take it away, man, go for it.
I really didn't have much to say about this match either, honestly. I was going to hand it over to you to start, so that's funny. I do like Dunne and Strong as a team, though. I mean, how do you feel about them? Like, are you a fan of this? Are you enjoying it?
It's interesting just because, like, we were kind of talking about this in Discord, actually. I feel like Pete Dunne is that type of heel who cares more about winning than sticking it to the good guy, And I can appreciate that. I definitely respect that. I think that makes him more of an interesting character than if he was just pure evil and just hated everyone that did good things.
No, I completely agree with you, dude. Absolutely. Like, the idea that Pete Dunne and Roderick Strong had that little fist bump at the end of their match, I like that, because I don't think it shows so much that Dunne likes Strong, but he's liking the idea of the team because it's looking very likely it could bring Dunne what he really cares about: championship gold. And like you, I can really appreciate that, because, it would get very tedious and very tiresome very quickly if every heel was like, yeah, you're a good guy, so I hate you. Yeah. Whereas, Pete Dunne's looking at it as, yeah, I don't really enjoy it that way, but you're capable. We're winning. I want more gold, because UK Championship's fine, but my body can handle more. Let's go and let's do this. And they're working together. It's like, they're not even necessarily even antagonistic like an Angle Benoit, which is always my go-to example. It's more just, you know what? This is working, and we're going to keep doing it until it's no longer working. And then I guess when it's no longer working, we'll beat the hell out of each other for the UK Championship again. I mean, that's really the way I look at it. I think it gives this team major credibility to beat Sanity, who had just come off of an NXT Tag Team Championship run a little bit ago. So that's really cool for these guys. I like how they beat a team that was relatively new, and now they oscillate all the way on the other end to beating, former NXT Tag Team champions that have been part of a larger faction for a good while. And now they're facing AOP in the finals. So that's going to be the ultimate test. And I actually think that could be a really good match, because I think AOP's best matches are with people that are really good in-ring workers. And I would classify both Strong and Dunne as such. So, yeah, solid main event. Dunne and Strong win. Can't say any more than that.
Well, we got a $2 super chat from Cliff Amal, and he wants to know if I want to talk about the ZSJ scale. And just to clarify, the ZSJ scale that he's referring to is what I call the wrestles like a dickhead scale, and it ranks from 1 to ZSJ, ZSJ being the 10 in this scale. And the explanation was that it was ranked from 1 to William Regal, but then ZSJ broke the scale. So now Regal is just a 9.5 out of ZSJ. And we were talking about it in chat, or in Discord, and I arrived at the conclusion that Pete Dunne was approximately a 7.5 out of ZSJ as far as how much he wrestles like a dickhead.
Damn. All right. Not bad.
We also arrived at the conclusion that Sasha Banks in NXT was an 8 out of ZSJ, and that Marty Scurll is a 9 out of ZSJ.
Oh, so close. So close.
Yeah.
There's only one. Zack Sabre Jr.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, he broke the scale. He out-dickheaded William Regal. That's impressive.
I love it. I love it. And the man's not done because he still wants IWGP Championship Gold and a cold beer to boot.
Yeah. And we also discussed how like Suzuki kind of wrestles like a dickhead, but he's more just like, I'm just going to fuck you up in general than I'm going to tear apart every single one of your extremities.
Yeah, exactly.
So he only ended up with an 8 out of ZSJ. He's not that high.
Oh, well, that's understandable.
Yeah.
All right. So after this, didn't we get the last Regal kind of
Yes. Kathy Kelly with Regal one more time for the last participant. And Regal says that he just finalized him and that he's going to send him on out. And of course, we find out that it is, in fact, Ricochet. And the pop that we got from the crowd when they saw Ricochet, it was great. And then he says, I'll see you at TakeOver. And the crowd was so excited, and I was so excited, and it just made me happy, okay?
You know what? I'm happy for you, man. I could tell. Even just you recapping it, I can tell, like, the energy you got from this segment. That's really cool. I'll admit, I kind of smiled too. I don't want to.
I'm definitely over my Ricochet saltiness, by the way, in case you guys hadn't noticed.
Which I think is great. I still have a little bit left. I'll probably get over it, though, by TakeOver. Fuck me, because he's so good.
I've already really said my piece as far as Ricochet goes. Like, if he succeeds in WWE, I'll be surprised, but I'll also be very happy for him. But I already said, like, I was predicting for the longest time that I don't think he's going to.
Right.
I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, but, you know, I mean, it is the WWE machine, and they're already talking about, like, 205 Live, and I don't know if
if Neville couldn't make it, what the hell hope does Ricochet have, right?
Yeah, I mean that really, not to be that guy, but I completely agree with you. Like, and especially with Ricochet's, like, attitude about himself and, like, where he's worked, I could see him feeling claustrophobic on 205 Live very quickly, and that's really what concerns me. But right now, he's on NXT, and looking good, rocking the suit. Like you said, you're over the saltiness. I still have a little bit left, but he's so undeniably talented. And to be fair, I have always said that. You know, I've always given him his due that way. And I think when it comes to TakeOver, I'll probably be like, oh my God, you're fucking amazing, because he just has that effect on people, and he'll have that effect on me. And just seeing him be like, oh, I'll see you at TakeOver. I try and put myself in his shoes. I know he's always wanted to work in WWE, you know, because he's a big fan of The Rock and all that stuff. And so he's got to be fucking giddy that, like, he's getting all this right now. And so I am happy for him. I think he'll kill it. I think he'll be another one. I think that ladder match in general is just going to be fucking nuts in the best possible way, because I think Dream's going to bring the character work. Ricochet's going to bring the spots. Adam Cole's going to bring himself, which is the most important thing. And, you know, Lars and Killian are going to bring the power. So everybody's bringing something vital to a good match. So there you go. And that's how NXT ends. And do you have any concluding remarks about NXT before we go to our next segment?
Let's do it.
High spots and low shots for real this time. My low shot is going, you know what? I can do this. My low shot is the fucking Street Profits. I hate you so much. So much. Like, I hate you so fucking much. Oh my God. You're the fucking worst. And I'd ask you to do better, but there'd be a better chance of a cancer cure coming out first. Go fuck yourself and get your shit together. They're my low shot. I have so much hatred in my heart right now. It both feels amazing and really agonizing. Please stop the pain. Who's your low shot?
So, like, when you say a cure for cancer, is it also possible to call that a cure for the Street Profits?
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It fucking is. Yeah.
Okay. Wow, you kind of distracted me to the point that I don't know if I have a low shot tonight. Let's see. Easy choice. Aleister Black is my low shot. He got the shit beat out of him by the guy he's trying to win a title off of.
I'm glad Andrade and me have the same philosophy on bullying. Shorthand, it works. I do agree with you. Aleister had a rough night. That's probably the roughest night he's ever had in his NXT tenure. Even more so than when he got screwed out of that fatal four. That was just a vicious beatdown that he suffered at the hands of Andrade. Like, goddamn. High spot. Let me see. Who do I want to give that? You know what? I'll give the high spot to fucking EC3. I mean, because unlike the other guys in the ladder match, he's the only guy that really hasn't done anything yet.
Ricochet.
Well, oh yeah, that's true. That's true. Maybe I would even no, I don't want to do a co-high spot. I'll still give it to EC3, and only because of this, because you are right about Ricochet, but EC3 got to do a talking segment in the ring and a full entrance and everything. Like
we still don't know what Ricochet's theme song is. I hope it's good.
It won't be. Just wanted to lower your expectations immediately there. I'm sorry. Oh, wow. And then wow. I really should have just let you have that happiness. I am feeling just very ruthless tonight. I'm sorry. But no, it's CFOs. It could be hit or miss. It really depends on if the sound that you like, you know, being looped, if it's like in a catchy enough sound. That's really what it comes down to.
Oh, speaking of sounds, I discovered a new music artist today that I'm going to play while we play Rocket League.
I wouldn't expect anything less. So yeah, I'm gonna go EC3 only because, like, again, I agree with your assessment about Ricochet, but unlike Ricochet, he got an entrance, he got the segment, and he shared the ring with Regal and the NXT crowd. And yeah, like the spotlight was on him tonight. So EC3 is my high spot.
Yeah, that's appropriate. Just as kind of the easy way out, I'm gonna give my high spot to Pete Dunne, because he got the winning pinfall on Eric Young to win the match for his team and advance to the finals of the Dusty Classic.
All right. So that's that.
Although I will say, as my my honorary high spot, since Adam Cole wasn't on this show, God, that's a tragedy. Honestly, my low shot should have been NXT since Adam Cole wasn't on the show.
Yes.
But my honorary high spot will also go to the Authors of Pain because they basically got a bye week to the finals.
Oh, okay. All right. Let me just, you know what? I live for your Adam Cole fandom. I honestly hope he becomes WWE champion because I can't wait for your sermons, like, for every title defense. It's going to be amazing. So
is Adam Cole's, like, low-key going to be my Johnny Mundo?
I think so, dude. And I'm totally okay with that because unlike me, you never go over the top with it, which is incredibly refreshing. And I don't know. I always have the biggest smile on my face when you go on one of your, like, pro Adam Cole things here. So should NXT just take a timeout for the week, even though it's their go-home show, because they didn't have Adam Cole on? Or do you think they can redeem themselves and have him on the show next week?
Oh, they better have him on the show next week. If they don't, I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We're eyeing you, NXT. Not a good look. Not a good look. But since I already asked you any concluding remarks and you said no, guys, with that said, this has been NXT. This has been TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans, by wrestling fans, on the web today. I'm John. That's my co-ordinator. Guys, be sure to comment, subscribe, and like the video. The more likes you leave, the more likely we are to be the top NXT review on YouTube. And, you know, when you're the best at what you do, the top is the only place that you belong. So leave that like. Guys, you already know, check out our description box for all of our content, mainly our Twitter handles, the TWitWoW Facebook, and the two things that I want to plug very quickly, the Teespring store. Guys, we have everything. We have Braun Strowman merch. We have Kevin Owens merch. We have Scum Squad merch. We have Scum Squad stickers that you could put on your car and let everybody know, yeah, I'm a bad guy. What are you going to do about it? Fucking nothing, because you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I hate the Street Profits so much, and now I'm just using it against the world, and that's wrong, and I'll get help. No, I won't, but you'll still listen anyway because you love me, and I love you back. So go to the Teespring, check out all of our great merch. The Patreon. Guys, the Patreon has been crazy as of late. Our patrons have been showing their ferocity. I mean, we had Iconic Player 1, Mr. Trayshawn, Cliff, like everybody, Paul William Gregory, like these guys have been making their voices heard. And you know something? If you're thinking to yourself, I'd like to be Paul or Iconic or any of those guys, you can. You can. And it all starts if you just give a minimum of $3 to the Patreon. Now, what can you do with $3? Well, anything. Because you get access to the Discord, which is the best place to be on the internet. Why? Because you get direct access to not one, but two faces, and not just any faces, our faces, the best faces on the planet, as well as the faces of the most diehard TWitWoW fans on the web today. We watch SmackDown together. We watch Raw together. We have general conversations together. Lately, I've just been checking in on the Discord, reminding all of the people that were patrons, hey, you're fucking awesome. Hope your day's going great. I could give you that reminder, too. It's a good kick to get your day done the right way. So, yeah, you just get to have a real sense of community and all that stuff in the Discord. It's fucking awesome. And if you keep your membership for X amount of months, the example I always like to use, $3 a month for 10 months. That's $30. You could cash that in for live reactions to a 3-hour show. I mean, that power. No one person should have all that power. And yeah, it's a Kanye song, but let's be honest, I did it better. But we're giving you that power because we are the best for a reason. So please, if you haven't, consider donating to the Patreon. That aside, guys, you already know tomorrow, Q&A number 21. I was compiling the questions, early today. I know Asia sent her questions. I have to document those. If you haven't gotten your questions in yet, if you're thinking, oh man, time's running out, it's cool. The window's still open just a crack. Get in there, get your questions in. YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Discord. Best mediums to submit your questions. Everybody's permitted up to 4 questions per Q&A. You can divvy up those questions however you like. Most people ask their questions to both of us because they seem to be very general wrestling questions. But if they're more specialized, I can tell you, I like some of the questions that Ashton got for Q&A that I got to see this month about music or about football. That's his wheelhouse. Me, I'm the nerdier guy. So like anime, video games, philosophy, stuff like that. That's, more my wheelhouse. If you want to ask specialized questions, nothing wrong with that. Whatever your heart desires, ask away and we'll answer it. So if you haven't gotten your questions in yet, please consider doing so. Q&A is tomorrow. We'll be going live with that at 7 p.m. EST. And then as far as the weekend goes, I don't think we have anything. Next week, though, is going to be insane. But we'll run that more down on Q&A tomorrow when we go out. But for now, guys, just know that Q&A, 7 p.m. EST, it's going to be huge. It's always a longer commentary. Until then, tune in and peace out.